Definitely.
So how did you get in this space that you're in to want to manifest? I heard you say something about speaking to the ancestors, and so how did you get to? I was gonna go there, Jasper, because that's how I met you. Like right, we was right there together.
I see dead people.
It's that 6 cents.
So, a lot of people don't know this, but when I was growing up, one, I have Native American heritage, so they're highly spiritual. Of course, African American heritage, highly spiritual. My mom has always been spiritual, and so we adopted a lot of practices that were passed down over the generations and stuff from our great grandmothers on my maternal side, which were Blackfoot Indian. And we had some Cherokee, but mostly Blackfoot. And so, there's this thing that you take on a spirit. When the spirit is born into the world, there's another one that's gone. And then when you have an elder in the community that passes within the same time period of a newborn baby, typically it's a belief that they have taken on that elder spirit, or either they're protected by that elder.
Okay.
So, one, I always felt different presence, various presences or metaphysical presence around me as a little girl. I could tell something else was in the room, but I didn't know what it was. I could tell when it was dark, and I could tell when it was just there, just visiting. Never really talked about it a lot. But as I got older, like even around her age, 7, 8 years old, my mom would introduce me to people, and I could feel their energy, and they would notice that I'm reading them. Like my mom would say, "Jazzy, stop reading them," because she would know, and I could just feel and know exactly how they are, what their character is like. I could tell if they weren't a straight up or transparent friend to my mom. Yeah, I mean, children typically have that gift, but some of us have a deeper gift where it stays with you throughout life.
Right.
And so, and it was interesting because some of them could tell I was reading them. It's almost like I don't know if y'all ever watched True Blood.
Yes.
Okay, so when you would see like maybe Sookie, or you would see a vampire who's disguised as a good person, but they weren't. But the genuine and pure creature could read the other one, and the other one was like almost it's like their heads would stand up. It was like, oh my gosh, I've been discovered. And so that's the same interaction I would have with some of the individuals I encountered growing up. So I knew something was different. And then I would say I continued with that. And then, my mom always said I had an old soul. I remember a lot of things from when I was a baby, like, before I could even walk, that, most people probably never even thought about. And then when I got into high school, what was confirmed for me, one, like I said, with Christianity, I've always believed in a higher being. But what solidified for me the path that I was on spiritually was reading this book called Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. Don't know if y'all ever read it, but it's an awesome book. And it talked about the chi, and this was in relation to the first Western European settlers into an African village, and the village leader at the time was Okonkwo. But they talked about your chi.
Okay, you're gonna explain to them what chi is.
Oh yes, your spiritual guidance.
Okay,
yes.
So like, what is a chi?
Yes. So your chi is pretty much your spiritual guide or compass, and for me, I always believed, you don't need to do all these formal things and all these different ceremonies to be accepted, right? Like wearing this or wearing that, having to be at church every Monday, Wednesday, Sunday, Saturday, all that's just overkill, honestly. I mean, in today's time, I couldn't do that, but most importantly, what I got from it was, as long as you do the right things in the physical world, your chi will protect you and set you up and set things in your favor in the metaphysical world. And I always believed that. I would just, for me, good karma, yields good karma, and vice versa. So for me, that's simple, and that's how I choose to operate. It works for me. It's not stressful. It's not, and it doesn't matter your background, your ethnicity, or anything of that sort. It's just, be a human to another human, a genuine human, and but just living by a high vibrational spiritual moral code for the most part, because you will reap what you put out here, and just making sure that you're doing it with minimal toxic levels as possible. So that's how I got into that space and how I went deeper. And then my godmother, from when I was a child, was heavy into African spirituality as well. So that was another influence.
Okay, do you know which one?
She does a lot of Hebrew, well, she's Hebrew,
Okay.
so that's the lifestyle she's lived mostly. And I would honestly, met her when I was 9 years old. I was in her dance company when I was at Jones Elementary School, and we were inseparable ever since.
Wow.
So, you know, spending a lot of time with her, I learned a lot about, African spirituality, African history prior to enslavement. So I had a very early sense of who we are as a people at a very young age, as opposed to waiting until Black History Month and being only told about the favorites.
Right, I'm so happy that she
So-
said that she gave you that knowledge of pre-slavery.
Mhm.
So you can really see the empowerment
Yeah.
of Black people, yeah.